Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And, you know, I've got a couple of interesting articles here that I actually stumbled across earlier today, and I'm going to try getting through both of these. Couple of shorter lists, but somewhat related, but also very interesting. And again, couple of shorter lists. Going to start with the longer of the two. Signs that it might be time to change your life. Now, you might be asking, Darryl, why go through this? You know, well, partly because, you know, we're getting closer to spring. It's time for that, you know, spring cleaning sort of thing, to where people are trying to sort of change their surroundings a little bit, clean up things, tidy, sort of, you know, get their life in order. If you have a farm, then, you know, it's the time that you start to plant things. And I would really say that the way I view things, like the spring equinox, and yes, I know that's still about 3 weeks away, but I view the spring equinox, also called the vernal equinox, I view that kind of as the actual New Year. I think it's really odd to have New Year in kind of the middle of winter. And yes, I know it's only like 2 weeks after the official start of winter, but you know what I'm saying. You know, like it's that dark, dreary sort of time. New Year should really be on the vernal equinox as far as I'm concerned, but I'm not the one that makes the rules. So that's just, you know, well, what's the saying? That's just kind of like your opinion, man. Well, article is important nonetheless. And here are 6 signs that you might need to make some changes in your life. And then we'll talk about some of the mental health benefits of having hobbies. Articles, both of these from lifehack.org. Jumping in, is it time to make some changes in your life? Here are signs that it might be time. Number 1, every week you cannot wait for Fridays. Fridays are fun, but one thing the author says I've discovered in my quest to find and do work I absolutely love is that almost every day can be really fun. If you're saving all your living for the weekends, it's time to truly think about your lifestyle and consider making some changes. Don't get me wrong, it's great to have plans to look forward to, but what if you could have the excited Friday feeling most, if not all, days of the week? It takes a lot of self-discovery and work, but it's truly possible to live a life you love, even on Mondays. And I've talked about this before. Like, I basically work every day, so the whole, it's Friday thing doesn't really mean anything to me. It's Tuesday doesn't really mean anything. You know, like I've got a slightly different schedule on Tuesdays and Saturdays and Fridays, but the day of the week doesn't really make any difference to me. And I'm sure that, you know, that applies to a lot of people listening as well. But you never know what is going to wind up, you know, hitting somebody sort of where they need it to hit. Number 2 of the 6 signs that it's time to make a change in your life: you live for vacations. Vacations are great, but what's even better is building a life you don't need to take a vacation from. Seth Godin said, instead of wondering when your next vacation is, maybe you should set up a life you don't need to escape from. Vacations are fun and exciting, but even better is building a life that you have the potential to do what lights you up many weeks of the year, not just your 2 allotted vacation weeks. And, again, there are people that might not have the opportunities to, live one of these permanent vacation lifestyles that I've heard some people talk about. And, I don't really understand how the people that are always on vacation ever actually get anything done, because if you're always traveling and just spending money, how are you actually working and making money? I don't know. Maybe there are people that, they've figured out ways to make money without working. I know there's the book 4 Hour Work Week, which from what I've heard, I've not read the book, but from what I've heard, it talks about here's ways that you can not have an actual, official job, but kind of work for yourself. And from what I've noticed, at least my own experience, is working for myself means that I wind up working more and longer hours, trying to wind up, making money and doing stuff that I honestly enjoy what I do, but I, wind up working long hours. Number 3 on 6 signs that it's time to make a change in your life. Number 3 is when you stop and think about it, you're really not focusing on your life, or rather you're not focusing your life on your priorities. And this definitely touches in with the mental health benefits of hobbies that we will get into later in the show. But here it says, write down your top 3 priorities. Then write down the 3 things you focus most of your life on. Are you spending your time living your top priorities? Consistently spending time doing what matters most to you is one of the keys to feeling fulfilled in your life. If you're not focusing your life on what's important to you, it's time to make some changes. Now, you might be asking yourself, what if I don't know what my top priorities are? Well, that's something that you need to sit down and think about and try to actually figure out what are your priorities. Now, those could be eating, getting the bills paid, and relaxing. Doesn't matter what your 3 priorities are, but are you spending your time making sure that you fulfill those? Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Coinbase has more than 1 million consumer wallets and is trusted by over 25,000 merchants, including Overstock.com, Khan Academy, Reddit, and of course, FPP. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I'll get back into the list. There's 3 more items on this to go through of 6 signs that it might be time to make a change in your life. But first, I want to make sure that I ask you a very important question. Do you advocate for free market money? Are you using free market money and promoting Bitcoin as an alternative to the fiat-centric world we live in? If so, then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal. What is Spend-A-Bit, you ask? Well, I'll tell you, Spend-A-Bit is the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend a Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend a Bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a Bitcoin accepting merchant like I am, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. That's spendabit.fppradio.com. Again, going through the list of 6 things, or rather 6 signs that it's time to make a change in your life. Number 1 is that you cannot wait for Fridays. And I realize some of you might be working service jobs to where your days off aren't Saturday and Sunday, but you still have, quote unquote, a Friday in your schedule. I know when I used to work for an airline, my days off were like Tuesday and Wednesday, so Monday was my Friday. So like if you can't if all you do is look forward to that day of work before you have your 2 off days or 3 off days, depending on what sort of schedule you work, if that's all you're looking forward to, you might need to make a change. If you live for vacations, meaning that you're just, sort of like trotting along until, oh, yes, I finally have a week of vacation where I don't have to do anything work-related, I can get away. If you're living for vacations, then you might need to make a change. And as they say here, instead of having a life that you need to... Hold on, let me read this again because I was trying to paraphrase and totally screwed it up. Instead of wondering when your next vacation is, you should set up a life you don't need a vacation from. Number 3 on the list, when you stop and think about it, are you really focused on your priorities? Or actually, they say the sign that you need to change is that you're not actually focused on your priorities. Number 4, you have no idea what lights you up, and you don't have the space in your life to discover it. If you haven't found your passion in your current life, you're not going to find it if you continue to do the same routine over and over again, year after year. Now, I'm going to pause to again mention something that I've mentioned previously, and it's something that I think is definitely worth repeating very often. To where, again, a lot of times you'll hear people say, like, find your passion, follow your passion. And there was a podcast that I was listening to a while back, and there was a motivational speaker who said that she used to always say, find your passion. And she got a letter from somebody that was in the audience who said, I keep coming to these motivational conferences, and everybody says, follow your passion, but I don't know what my passion is. And so the speaker said, I then started to change, and instead of say, follow your passion, follow your curiosity. So the example was butterflies. Butterflies are not passionate about, we've got to fertilize the flowers. Butterflies are curious, and again, we're speculating and trying to imagine the mental status of a butterfly. But what the author and the speaker was saying is that butterflies are curious. They go here, there, and in amongst their curiosity of the various flowers, they do wind up pollinating and fertilizing the flowers. So you could kind of be like a butterfly as well, to where you're not necessarily passionate per se about one particular thing, but you have a strong curiosity about various things. Follow that curiosity. I continue with the article. They say, in order to discover what lights you up, and again, that could be your curiosity. It doesn't need to be a passion per se. To discover what lights you up, start by creating the space in your life to seek it. Give yourself time to figure out who you are, what your strengths are, and what piques your interest. Experiment with learning new things, spending time with inspiring people, and doing more of what excites you and less of the things that suck your energy. Number 5 of signs that it's time to make a change in your life, you are frequently jealous. If you find yourself frequently feeling jealous of someone, there are three things, or rather three changes to consider making. Number one, make a point to focus on your path instead of the journey of someone else. Sometimes this involves taking a break from social media. Number two, get inspired from the person you're jealous of and work towards a similar goal in your life. And number three of the three changes to make, if you do find yourself feeling jealous, decide what the other person has that is not something you are willing to put in the effort to achieve, so you'll cheer for him or her, but choose not to be jealous. When you do feel jealous, consider why you want the other person, or rather consider why you want what the other person has and what your motives are. Living a life on your terms, focused on your priorities, your passions, and your strengths will provide you with much more fulfillment than trying to be somebody else. And number 6. And again, this list is definitely connected to the mental health benefits of pursuing a hobby that we'll delve into next. Number 6, on the signs that it's time to make a change in your life, you can't remember the last time you stepped out of your comfort zone. According to Neil Donald Walsh, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Your life can become even more amazing if you stretch beyond your comfort zone. And then they link over to an article with some tips on how to break out of your comfort zone. Stay tuned. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. During the 2013 Porcupine Freedom Festival, Davi Barker presented an idea for a renegade psychological experiment. Since then, he has refined his idea and put his plan and research into writing. He explains, "We aim to show the world beyond a shadow of a doubt that power corrupts absolutely and corrupt authority deserves no obedience." Authoritarian Sociopathy is available from Amazon.com, all major bookstores, and now available as an audiobook. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And switching articles now, but not completely changing directions. The mental health benefits of pursuing a hobby. Again, this comes from lifehack.org. And as always, the links will be in the show notes. The article begins, about a year ago, I decided I was going to take my personal journaling and turn it into a website. I didn't really have a clue what I was doing, and I had not quite identified a reason why I was doing it, but I felt this indescribable pull to start writing more frequently and sharing my thoughts with others. In the past year, the author of this article says, I've written and published almost 30 articles, reaching readers all over the world. In the end, I've made a total of $0 from this effort, but I realized long ago, or rather along the way, that this has become an incredibly fulfilling hobby for me at a time when I was really seeking fulfillment and purpose in my life. I've also watched, the author of this article says, I've also watched my husband develop and hone in on his hobby of woodworking. He built an incredible piece for our home and has given projects away as presents to friends and loved ones. He, too, has brought in a grand total of $0 with his hobby. What I found is that a hobby doesn't need to be an additional source of income. Even further, no matter how busy we are, we can always make time for it. The author says, when I started writing, I was working full-time, going to grad school full-time, and teaching a college class 1 day a week. If we want to make time for something, we find the time. The truth is, creating space in your life to pursue a passion in the form of a hobby has incredible benefits on your mental health. Here are 3 that I discovered over the past year. And before I delve into the health benefits of a hobby, I want to just sort of touch on something that was mentioned earlier, where the author of this article says, I found that a hobby doesn't need to be an additional source of income. And that, to me, seems like it should be a no-brainer. If you're doing something as a hobby, by definition, a hobby is something that you enjoy. Now, certainly, you could enjoy making extra money, but then that becomes something other than a hobby by definition. So let's delve into the 3 mental health benefits that the author of this article has discovered over the past year. Number 1, you regain a sense of control. Life is full of stuff we have no control over. This can be frustrating and intimidating. Sometimes, even if we're lucky enough to get paid for doing what we love, it comes with a price. We might have a supervisor to report to, a deadline to meet, little say over our direction, or a financial overhead to consider. But a hobby is yours and yours alone. Now, yes, you can choose to spend your time and your hobby with someone else, but in the end, it's yours. You get to take full creative license over what you do as your hobby. It is all about you. This brings control back into your life and allows you to manifest and take ownership of something that you brought to fruition. You even have the right to decide if you want to share your hobby with the rest of the world or keep it to yourself. You alone have the ability to make all of these decisions because this is your hobby. This hobby is about you and pursuing what makes you feel happy and whole. That's whole with a W, not whole with an H, although technically there is an H after the W. But yeah, what I'm saying here is, completeness. It gives you happiness and completeness. It doesn't leave you empty on the inside, which leads to number 2, that it gives you a feeling of accomplishment. We all need a solid win every now and then in our life. The author says, whenever I finish an article, even if it doesn't get published in the first place, I send it, I feel this sense of pride over the completion of a task. The author says, I've watched my husband's sense of accomplishment when he completes a new project, and we either find a place for it in our home or we give it to someone else. There's something truly beautiful about setting out to do something, following through on it, and then witnessing the final product come together. It's even more beautiful to know that whatever this final product is, it came from a place of genuine, authentic, and intrinsic motivation. In my mind, there's nothing more fulfilling than a passion project because it's not just the completion that is the accomplishment, it's the entire journey. And as they say, sometimes the journey is more valuable of an experience than the destination, which leads us to the 3rd mental health benefit of pursuing a hobby, as noted by the author here, Alyssa Lestress, who says finding purpose and meaning. That is, hobbies help you find purpose and meaning, or at least they can, and they probably should. The author says, I would be lying if I said that I did not occasionally need some motivation to get out of bed in the morning. But when I have an idea of something to write, my entire body comes to life. My wheels start turning, and I can't wait to get my thoughts onto paper. We'll continue here with the mental health benefits of a hobby on one of my hobbies, Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com.
Hi, this is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Going over the mental health benefits, or at least three of them, three of the mental health benefits of pursuing a hobby. Number one is it helps you regain a sense of control in your life, because all of the decisions about your hobby are your decisions to make. It's your hobby. It's your thing. You are in control. Number two, it gives you a feeling of accomplishment when you've completed the task or the thing, whatever it is, whether you're painting or writing or working out or doing yoga. Once you finish the thing, you get a feeling of accomplishment. And in amongst doing your hobby, you find purpose and meaning, or at least you can. The author of the article, again, says sometimes she has problems getting out of bed, but when she's got an idea for an article, which is her hobby, writing, she sort of leaps out of bed and she can't wait to get the thoughts onto paper. She says, it just so happens that I write for myself and for others, so when I have a reader reach out to me and tell me that I helped them in some way, I feel like my life has more meaning. But the truth is that whatever your hobby is, to create some form of art, to volunteer somewhere, to enhance a personal skill, or to bring people together for some kind of event, the excitement we feel when we are pursuing what we love really fills our life with meaning. The idea here is to choose a hobby that guides you into your flow state, or a state that allows us to lose sense of time by becoming so engaged in a task that everything else slips away. When we reach this mental state, we get a glimpse into our own soul, into that little place deep inside where our authenticity and happiness thrive. Once we access this place, the mental health benefits are far-reaching. The author here continues, as a counselor, I often remind people that our career does not need to be the only avenue for deriving meaning and purpose from our lives. Sometimes we simply can't afford to chase our passion as a career, but that doesn't mean that these sources of joy need to slip away. If you can make some money pursuing your hobby, great. But that's not the only reason to follow through with it or to even find a hobby in the first place, because identifying and pursuing a hobby can ignite a spark in us to live more purposefully, and you can't put a price tag on that. Don't forget, every Friday I answer your questions. Send those over ama@fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.